So excited. Welcome to I Start First podcast for women who start careers, dreams, and desires. My name is Erika Feinberg and I'm your host. And for very first episode, I'm so excited to have my mentor, my friend, one of the most badass, powerful women I know, Erika Feinberg. And here we are. We're going to talk about failure and money and making multiple millions and what it takes to really build yourself an empire, but most importantly, stay tuned for what she really thinks it's going to take for you to be your own I Start First Sparkle Tribe powerhouse of an empire with multiple millions. You'll be surprised. Can't wait for you to listen. Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Erika Feinberg, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes Off the Ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to up-level your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited. Welcome to episode 1 of the long-awaited I Start First Boss Babes podcast. I am very excited to start this epic journey with you, to introduce you to incredible guests I'm bringing on and amazing people who are going to be part of this. And I could not think of recording my very first episode with someone who's been in my life for, I don't even know how many, 5+, 6+, 7+ years, some of those. She's been a mentor, a friend, a total badass to inspire me and hundreds and thousands of other women. So without further ado, I all want you to welcome today to episode 1 of I Start First podcast, Erika Feinberg.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited and I miss you so much.
Yes, and I'm so excited to have you with us. So please tell them your title. Like I said, for me, you are forever internal, ridiculously, insanely talented, overwhelming badass. But tell us your official title.
All right. I'd say it's actually 3 titles now. So one is just leadership training, service excellence training influencer. And the second is president of a local software company. Well, it's a international now software company. And the other title is now host of a Jam Sessions webcast that's also a masterclass for leadership development and for soft skills development, for service excellence development.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope you're all catching this.
Yeah.
I wasn't kidding when I said she's a total, incredible, empowering, just everything I want to be when I grow up woman.
Funny.
And honestly, it's been such an incredible journey to watch Erika inspire me, inspire herself, and inspire all these other women. So I know you can't put your story in Cliff Notes. I know you can't. But give us a Cliff Notes version. How did you, where did you start? Since this is all about starting, what prompted you to go and build an empire and really take on this incredible journey that you now get to call your life? But what was it about?
Okay, so I'm going to start with something that's not a shameless plug, but it's behind your head. So this tells part of that story. So page 77, In Purpose, Passion, and Profit, which I think is still a bestseller on Amazon since last July, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Crazy, huh? So this is a book that both Olenka and I had the pleasure of contributing to. And I would say the biggest thing is when I started working for Larry Ellison, this was back when I was a kid, straight out of college. And I forced my way into being hired for a company because I had clarity. I knew I wanted to work for that company that was doing retained executive search and also business building. And it was all CEOs of software companies. And I wanted to work there. And this was back when I was in Boston. So I finally got my way in, and then I knew I wanted to work for Larry Ellison because he was always someone that I looked up to, and I was amazed by, like, amazing, right? And so all I did was pick up the phone and make it happen. So that I couldn't believe. I picked up the phone with intention, and I had a very carefully planned message because I wanted to make sure it wasn't about me, that it was about what could bring him profound value. And then I actually got him on the phone, and I freaked out a little bit. But that just started a whole chain of events when I was in my early 20s and became a millionaire, multimillionaire in my 20s, and then just kept building, became an operator, and, built a $3 million company, $25 million company, another company, 94 million. And it was just, a lot of it just has to do with doing things your own way. It's not looking at what you think the world thinks you should be doing. But so, for instance, really paying attention to the things that get you mad, right? Which is so funny, but I don't like being put on hold. When I'm buying from a company, I like when someone in the call center has a first and last name. I can call them. It was all these things that were just getting me so upset, and not getting ripped off, having the best quality. And here I was, like, I have a lot of money, and I still don't like getting ripped off. I like getting the best for the best price, right?
Yep.
So, it's really paying attention to the things that get me going, that really get me angry or worked up or excited, and then putting it all together in my own way. And that's really what has defined, that's been at the heart, two things. That's been at the heart of my success. The second thing is figuring out and really carefully doing this, like even on a whiteboard with friends, do it intentionally. Like, what kind of people do you want in your life? This is life. Like, whoever your customer is, whatever market you're in, that's your life. It's not like life happens at some point. It's like if you're in a situation, especially in your universe, Olenka, when all these women who are chasing you around, like they want to be an owner, they want to drive something and create something. Yep. Think about what kind of shows you want to go to, who you want to be around, like who do you want to cater to? Because you can't just say, I want to make millions and I want to do this and cater to poor people. And it doesn't work because they don't have money, right? So you really have to look at what kind of people do I want in my life. So maybe eventually I can help poor people. So it's really about that look at reality and those two things. What can I do that's different, that feeds something that's my passion, that's solving something real, and then bouncing it off the world in reality and not getting married to your first idea, not being stubborn. There's a difference between being stubborn and being passionate. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Whoa. Like, I hope you're all writing down the truth bombs, picking up the phone with intention and doing things your own way. I mean, I love every single one of those things. But you brought up with something that, so many women shy away from, and that's money, right? Like, that's why I love you so much, partially because you were the first person who really taught me, gobs of money. We kept talking about this. And I love this because you're so natural when you speak about that. So can you give them an advice or, I don't know, a story or something that will maybe ease it for them? Because sometimes, it's, like I said, so many of us women are so scared to really play big and like big, going into millions and making big money. What made you so fearless about that?
I think it's funny. I hope I answer your question. I think it's about appreciation and every moment. I'm going in a little slightly different direction than you expect in my answer, but like my mom was fighting cancer, and there was a point like you want to go all the way. You want to make them all better. You want to get them back on their feet. You want to get them healthier than ever. But in the process, you have to appreciate every millimeter of progress. And that's what leads to that healing process, right? And we succeeded. She's amazing now. But it's the same thing with your life. Like, you have to appreciate every little step and know you can't look at, if for any of you who do day trading, you
Mm-hmm.
can't look at life like you're day trading. You can't look at life and say, oh, we're down. Oh, we're up. Oh, we're down. Oh, then you're going to go nuts, right? But if you see an upward trend, it's about having clarity about your journey and where you want to go. And don't think 5 years ahead. Think, what do I want to be in 6 months? That's my plan. It's always about like, I want to be happy now. So what do I have to do now in order to at least get this 6-month plan in place, and knock it out? And I have to admit, I've been in a really tough situation, even the last year, in this company, in the software company, and it only took me defining, like I had to clearly define the vision of what I wanted to do and how I was going to get there. And it all started with sitting with my daughter, who's a designer, and having her force me to cut words out so it looks pretty. And like, you go through that creative process where you just, and it was, I know it sounds funny. It only took us putting together a PowerPoint and putting together a 2-page flyer that made me say, oh, that's why I'm doing this, So like, we had fun doing it, and I didn't try to do it alone. I don't design. I can't even draw a circle, I have these crazy thoughts in my head, and it was so nice to just sit down with someone who's calm and like clean and structured, creatively, and to throw these ideas at her and have her go, whoa, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And then narrow it down to that, that thing. And now today is the day. Like, I'm more fired up than ever because we did those 2 stupid things.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that's the best. I love that saying. It's figuring out what makes you happy today and build into that 6-month mark. It is so, so true. No, in appreciation. Absolutely. And I'm so happy your mother is doing better. That is so awesome. You and I talked about failure, our favorite topic, multiple times. I know that for you, that concept doesn't even exist. You look at it completely differently. So would you share your perspective on failure with our listeners?
Yes. Well, you successfully changed my mind about that. and one other thing, the movie Inside Out.
All right.
Inside Out and You. So, the whole idea is you don't know success until you've had failure, right? So, and I think the only difference between my old definition of failure when I heard that word from you versus my new definition of failure in my head is that I thought you were referring to failure as the end. Right. And I see failure as every step of the way, and that it's just sort of the beginning of the next level. Right. So, and it goes back to not being stubborn. If you're stubborn, you might miss that you need a pivot. If you just keep charging along, no matter what, I'm not going to fail, you're going to fail, right? But if you have that same energy, and when you hit a wall, you force yourself having to solve it. Like, since I'm banging against this wall, like, I need help, is the best thing to do, is like, go talk to somebody who's very different. If you're wired up, find someone calm. If you're not an artist, find a business person. Just pair up with the opposite, and make sure that you keep yourself open to a pivot. Because even last night, I'm going to give you a specific example. I'm married to an engineer, and so many times I'll throw a line by him, and then he'll go, "I don't get it," and I'm like, how the fuck do you not get it? Is the F word okay?
Yep. It's okay now.
I'm like, how the fuck do you not get that? So wait, let me get the exact word. So the phrase was, be the premier provider and enjoy life, right? So I said that, and he's like, that makes no sense. I'm like, how could that make no sense? You can be the premier provider and you can also enjoy life. Like a lot of these owner-operators of HVAC companies that we're catering to hate life. They hate their job. They hate their business. They hate their wife. They like everything's wrong, right? So I mixed the two. And I almost didn't let him go. I was gentle, right? And I backed off. I'm like, what's it going to take? I'm not going to let you out of this kitchen until you tell me what it's going to take, because this is the concept. And I ran the concept. But he's not a creator. He's a fixer, right? So he said, well, maybe if you italicize and enjoy life, I'll get it, because it separates the two, but it's still one sentence. And then it was like, I know this sounds stupid, but it was like a massive aha moment where he got it, but he didn't see how they fit together in one sentence.
Yeah.
And that I didn't get. But then he was like, this separates it. It's still one sentence, but it triggers you to move in a new direction.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Actually, I think it's a brilliant example. And that's exactly where you need to bring other people and ask for help from somebody who is not like you.
Yes.
Because if it was me and you having this conversation, I would be like, great, Erika, I completely get the sentence.
Yeah. Yes.
But sometimes, and I mean, obviously talk about this all the time, building the Sparkle Tribe. I say that all the time. It is so important not to do things alone. It is so important to have a tribe, to have women and men and other people who are not like you and fall back to and ask questions from, and not try to just have everybody, unified to be just like you. And you do, I mean, you are incredible at that. Your circle of people that I know you're in is so different, and you always reach out to all across the board, all across professions. So that's pretty extraordinary. And yes, failure every step of the way, ladies. I hope you heard this. I literally made a mental note. I'm like, new definition, failure every step of the way. I mean, it is so absolutely true. You've built obviously incredible companies in your career. If you were to think to two traits in you that help you don't turn back, don't stop, and just keep building no matter what hardships came across, what would be those two traits you think in your character that are helping you to move forward so quickly and pivot so effortlessly?
I think the main thing I would say, and this was something I was blessed with from a very young age, an intuitive mom who always had me thinking about the world and why we're here. So I think, and this is typically if I'm out public speaking, it's the first thing, depending on the topic, not a business topic, but similar. I always ask people, why do you think you're here on earth, right? No matter what, if you always go back to that question, why am I here on earth? And the weirdest thing is, have you ever seen a piece of nature, a mountain or a flower or something, you stop and look at it, or a penis, and you're like, wow. I'm sorry, I just say that.
I love it.
But
hope everybody's paying attention.
And just say, wow, God just engineers things brilliantly. It's amazing, right? And then you look at humans, and some of us are totally screwed up, and others are just incredible, and da-da-da. Everyone's got their reason. Like this is a village. Like the world is a village. And look at the village concept, like everyone has their part in it. And I think that if you're very clear about why you're here on earth and what makes you special and different, what comes easy to you, and when you say follow your passion, it almost cheapens it, but it's like, why are you here? And then you say, you just keep that going. Is this accomplishing the impact I want to have on this world, on this big village? I think, if you're the blacksmith and no one else is the blacksmith, you better get to work and do your job, or people don't get, you know what I mean? It's just that feeling of a sense of responsibility for something bigger versus these people who just call in because they're sick. And, it's like they don't, in our corporate culture, at my previous job, people weren't calling in sick. Everyone had a sense of responsibility to each other. It was such a beautiful experience. They all really appreciated each other. They all had a job to do, and it was just like a restaurant or a bar. Like if someone calls out sick, it ruins everything for everyone. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's the same thing. Like you just shouldn't call in sick. I mean, you plan a vacation and get charged up because you got that, but don't like run yourself into the ground like you would have done 8 years ago. Plus, you wouldn't have said that about people, men, women, other people. You would have always been charging to try to do it yourself. Like, kudos to you, Olenka. My God, I just got the chills, too. I mean, the last 8 years, you really have transformed yourself into a beautiful butterfly.
Thank you. Don't make me cry.
But it's, that part, it's a long answer to your question, but it really is about seeing a bigger picture of why you're here. What's your responsibility to the world every day? And again, plan those respite, plan the times where you're just going to relax. And I'm going to go back to my husband again. We just did like 3 weeks in Europe and then went on this other big trip all over the world and, brought the kids and then we had all this fun. And then we were chugging along for a few months and I'm like, you know what? I think we need to talk again. I think we need to sit down and dream and talk about what our next big thing is going to be. Like, because it's one thing, I'm not living life for that trip, but I'm putting all the pieces in place in time for that trip. And so that's how I see it. So you're not planning a big trip or, I don't know, whatever excites you guys, but I really love traveling around the world, seeing different cultures and meeting new people and smiling and, the universal language of, hi, So yes. I love that and seeing new things and it just opens your brain. But you know how you're really productive right before you go away somewhere?
Absolutely.
You can be like that every day if you have goals and then you have this dream in short term, like 6 months.
Yep, absolutely. So true. And, when it's what you said, sometimes you need a little forward-looking opportunity or goal and that trip becomes that. But I absolutely love what you said, that responsibility, because a lot of times we forget that we are not just here living life, that we owe something to the world, to the generations that are going to come after us. And that's where everything starts. That drive really starts with you. And oh gosh, thank you for almost making me cry. So my last question I want to leave our I Start First Sparkle Tribe with is because honestly, you've helped me so much. You've changed so many of my perspectives. And I love how you subconsciously use the word stubborn a few times in this podcast, because trust me, you guys, I got her. She's referring to me and how I used to be so stubborn. And it's 100% true. Get rid of that quality as soon as you can. It's good to be stubborn, but it's also bad when you're not willing to pivot. And my last question to you is, what would be your one advice to a young female entrepreneur or young career woman, because I know you advocate careers very much, and so do I. You can absolutely be a badass within a job, within a company. So what would be your one advice to a young female who is ready to start and she's ready to go big?
This is probably a little bit of a selfish answer because this is the way I love coaching. Like I love working with people on their emotional intelligence. I think if a person can work on their emotional intelligence, it's worth studying what that is. But it really is about two things. It's about how to contain, how to leverage your emotions, and not let it get in the way of relationships, of efforts, of collaboration, of creative ideas. I mean, like my husband and I in the kitchen, if I wasn't emotionally intelligent, that would have turned into a fight. Or I would have said, fuck you, I love the idea, and I would have walked away, right? So, but I saw it through with a sense of humor, and it was like we were cracking up. And I was like, no, you can't just say no, and it turned into fun, and it opened up receptors in him. He was laughing too, right? It opened receptors up in him, and it brought out the best in him. So when you have high emotional intelligence, like now I would be a better coach to you than I would have been 8 years ago. I was probably a little too harsh in some ways, and I've learned a lot, and a lot of it had to do with the tears and just you were so raw, and you have this authenticity to you, and I feel like I hurt you, and there are times that you didn't realize. I'm learning from you. I just got the chills again. Like I'm paying attention, and I'm seeing when I could have gotten something across a much different way. And breaking habits, try to break a habit, okay? Everyone, I challenge you. Move your garbage can. If you sit at a desk every day, move your garbage can. How long does it take you to stop throwing papers on the floor? This building, it has 2 major bathrooms in it. And like there's a men's room and a ladies' room. The part of the building we're in all the time, I go to the ladies' room, which is on the left. The ladies' room is on the right in the front of the building, and I keep walking into the men's room, right? So there's so many things you're not even paying attention to. You just get into these habits, and you really have to put added effort into being mature, into containing your emotions, getting the best out of people through humor, and not taking everything so seriously. It's like, why is it so serious? Nothing should be very serious. Yeah. So I really, you get along farther if you think you're on candid camera, if you're dealing with a situation like a camera's watching. I don't know, what's a younger, like you guys probably don't even know what candid camera is.
I mean, yeah, there are similar ones, but yeah, okay. They get the idea.
But it just pretends someone's watching at all times, and someone who you really care about is watching at all times. And just think about how you should be behaving to bring out the best in the room, because it's so easy to look at your habits by looking at your opinion of other people. If your opinion of other people is negative, then you need to look at what you're doing to bring that out in people. Although I say that, but like, I don't know, 50% or more of the people in the world are really jacked up and not even worth being in your life, but if you're around really good people, but you keep on eliciting the same habits, the same patterns of failure in the relationship, it's probably you. So you really need to look at what you can change and work with Olenka, because she's great at changing your behavior to really look at how you can bring out better things in the best people possible you can have in your life, because life is too short. If you're in this group, it means you're in that area, or you're striving to be in that top 10%. Like if you want to be a top 10%er and you want top 10%ers in your life, they're not going to stick around if you suck. So you really have to bring that value.
I love that. If you want top 10%ers in your life, they're not going to stick around if you suck. This is going to be the new t-shirt line, ladies, coming out in 2020, courtesy of Erika Feinberg. I mean, you guys, I hope you paid attention. Everything she just said, I mean, we're going to have I just can't. I can't with this woman. She's masterful. She's a badass. She's extraordinary in speaking, and her emotional intelligence, you guys, off the charts. So I hope you listen, ladies. Go break a habit. I'm so excited. Erika, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Anytime.
I so appreciate you forever and always. And thank you for listening to us, ladies. You were amazing. And as always, Erika is incredible. So look her up. We will put her information so you can follow her. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.